What's up everybody and welcome to the channel. In today's video, we're gonna take a look at the 2025 Nissan Rogue Rock Creek. This one's finished off in Baja Storm with a $38,000 MSRP. So let's get right into Nissan's compact off-roader. Underneath the hood of the 2025 Nissan Rogue Rock Creek, you're gonna find a 1.5 liter inline 3-cylinder turbocharged engine. This makes 201 horsepower with 225 pound-feet of torque, and it's paired to a CVT transmission with all-wheel drive. Curb weight is around 3,700 pounds. It has a 14.5 gallon fuel tank, and you're looking at 27 miles per gallon in the city with 32 out on the highway. Max towing is even 1,500 pounds with max payload at 900 pounds. The overall length is 183 inches with a wheelbase at 106.5. Width is 72.4 and height is 66.5 inches. The Rogue Rock Creek also has some off-road capabilities like approach angle at 19 degrees, ground clearance is around 8.2 inches with breakover angle at 18 degrees, and then departure angle is 24 degrees. Onto the styling with the 2025 Rogue Rock Creek. It certainly does have a pretty off-road design to it. You can see the cool look for the headlights, daytime running lights up above, and the actual headlight is all down below. Front grille is finished off in the gloss black, and you're going to see some orange color all throughout. You got some silver trim as well, and then nice openings to provide some cooling. I really do like the style of it. It definitely looks pretty cool with an off-road vibe. And then you have a few sharp body lines in the hood, fading towards the windshield. At the side profile, you're going to get a set of 17-inch wheels in a matte black color with some more orange contrast. You have some of that plastic black material around the front fender arch, as well as the Rock Creek logo, and the side skirt has some of that plastic trim as well. Got some smooth body lines for the side profile, a set of gloss black mirror caps with an integrated turn signal and camera. This has body color door handles and then all black trim throughout the windows. Got a little bit of silver trim on the upper side of the windows as well, and a really cool set of roof racks up atop. So that looks really nice, definitely adds to the off-road style of the Rogue. For the side profile, has a very nice profile overall with good proportions front to back, sharp body lines as well as we make our way into the back. And then you can see how that trim piece cuts into here as well. Got a nice set of taillights finished in the red housings, and then down below more of the plastic black material. Got all your parking sensors. You can see the 4-wheel drive logo, and then blacked out Rogue and Nissan badge. Overall, it comes together very nicely to give the standard Rogue a much more off-road and aggressive appearance. Taking a look at the key fob, you're going to get lock, unlock, remote start, as well as the trunk release. If I go ahead and lock this, you can just grab the door handle, press the button, and it will automatically unlock. You're going to see a black synthetic leather material interior with some orange accents all throughout it. Door panels finished off in black. You have some soft touch up above, memory seating with your release handle, and then a cool striped pattern to the gloss trim. All of your controls as well, padding and stitching. And then you have power controls for the front seats, along with some smooth leather material as well as the fabric. Has a nice look overall with a Rock Creek stitched up into the backrest, and then we have a nice flat bottom design on the black leather steering wheel with more of all this contrast stitching. And then now inside the Rogue Rock Creek, keep my foot on the brake, and go ahead and fire it up. Small screen is going to turn on, got a nice little animation in the center. You can see controls on the left side for some Bluetooth and audio. We also have phone integration, cruise control as well. There are paddle shifters for the CVT transmission, and then the stalk on the right side is for all the windshield wipers, and we have turn signals over on the left. For the actual center screen, pretty simple as you'd expect. You can see we have some messages that will pop up, and you can go left and right. You have a digital speed readout. You can configure a blank screen, more settings, and then continuing to cruise control audio, as well as some trip information. So pretty basic overall with just about what you would need to see. We have the steering intervention, auto start stop, tailgate release, one of your air vents, just some black material across the dashboard, some soft touch material over here with more contrast stitching, and then the multimedia screen is very basic. It is touchscreen, a little bit old school. There is going to be some lag, as you can tell, so sometimes it just takes a little bit to start warming up and to be used. But you have just some basics on it as well. Shortcuts down below, more shortcuts down below here. And then for the cameras, you do get a 360 view. So you have a front view, a top-down view. You can continue toggling that to change everything, full view as well, and then a rear view backup camera as well with the top down. So not too bad, just a little bit dated on the tech itself. You have your air vents, and then climate controls are integrated underneath. We have different fan speed controls, heated steering wheel, heated seats, and you can easily adjust your dual zone temperature. We have plugs down below with wireless charging and storage. You can see some cup holders, your shifter, park and brake, and then drive modes. So you can easily configure all of this. We have a sport mode. You can go into eco and then all the way up into an off-road setting. Underneath all of that, you are going to get extra storage space, and then 2 different spots for the armrest that will pop open independently with extra space all down below. Glove box on the far right side, large bucket as expected. And then one last look at the interior. It is definitely a little bit outdated, showing its age quite a bit. However, you do have nice materials that all feel nice for the price point. It has a cool look to it overall, just wouldn't mind some nice updates. We have a nice light colored headliner. There is a sunglass holder too, all of your different dome lights, and then a thin mirror. Taking a look at the rear seat space, if I grab the door handle and open it up, door panel's finished off just like we saw up front with the same materials and the contrast stitching. Same with the back seats, you're gonna get the black leather material, contrast stitching, and then all the fabric. This can seat 3 people. The center seat, you do have an armrest and cup holders, and you have some amenities like air vents in the center, 2 USBs, and storage on the passenger seat. There is a lever up here you can pull. This will fold nice and flat, giving you extra cargo space and a spot into the back. Now sitting in the back seat with the Rogue Rock Creek, so I'm 5'11". There is pretty good amount of headroom, like 6 or 7 inches. And with the driver's seat at my height, I have a really good amount of knee room too. Now this is kind of like stadium style seating, like the old Nissan Xterra, honestly, where I'm feeling like I'm quite above the driver's seat. So it's a little bit different than your typical crossover. The seat itself is fine. It does have good padding. However, I wouldn't mind a bit more leg support. It's a little flat on the base and the backrest is decent. There's no extra recline, so you're just kind of sitting upright. Overall though, it's a fine back seat for the size. Just maybe I wouldn't mind sinking into the seat a little bit better and having a little bit different view just because it's a little different seeing above the drivers. And then for the cargo space, you're gonna get the power lift gate. Pressing that button once, it's gonna automatically open up. And with this, you can see how nice and squared off it is. Pretty good size compared to a lot of other compact crossovers. And then underneath the floor, you can lift that up, and we do have a spare tire underneath. From here, you can easily grab these levers and get these seats out of the way. So it goes from mid 30 cubic feet of volume to over 70 cubic feet of volume. So definitely a very roomy car. You have a grab handle as well as the lock and the close button, and very easily close everything up. All right, so setting off in the Rogue, sport mode, full throttle. All right, so that is up to speed. Certainly not a fast vehicle at all, and you do have this CVT, which sometimes it does give you a really smooth power delivery, then other times it just kind of whines a little bit. So the CVT is all right. I know not everybody is a fan of that type of transmission. In general, I'm not. However, I think Nissan does do a good job at them at least. Still wouldn't mind a normal transmission. But sitting here, you have a pretty good view around, nice windows, the mirrors all do a really good job. And over your right and left shoulder, really can't complain with the visibility. It's a pretty easy to drive vehicle and just kind of easy to see around. Front seats feel pretty comfortable, armrests are in a good place, heated seats, the basic tech and all that works nicely. Cruise control system is pretty good as well. On all these little bumps, you can feel them a little bit. It's not the quietest interior, especially on a bad road. However, overall on the highway and normal smooth roads like what we're now on, really can't complain. It seems like just kind of a normal, nice to drive crossover. Suspension does absorb the bumps pretty well as long as the road isn't too rough. The technology is definitely a little outdated. The screen is very simple, very basic, things that we've seen 15 years ago. So I wouldn't mind the newest Nissan integration there that we've seen on other vehicles. Climate does look nice with the screen and the physical control, so I think that's a pretty good touch. And then again, very simple for the gauge cluster. With that, the steering has a nice feeling to it. It's not too light, not too heavy. The brakes do a good job coming down to a standstill. And then the drive modes do a good job as well. The eco mode definitely lets it be a bit more conservative. And then if we just slowly accelerate in that, at least it's not like a noisy, whiny transmission like some CVTs. So it's kind of in the middle of, it's not too bad. But nothing too crazy about the driving characteristics, I would say. It's just kind of a normal crossover as you would expect. And then it does at least have some of the off-road mode settings and tires to be able to go over some terrain like a gravel road or some sort of trail. Wind noise, not really too much there as well. So it really just kind of seems like a normal vehicle. There's also a pretty good amount of room in here. If I Put the seat in a good position. You know, my legs are comfortable, really can't complain. Steering wheel just kind of feels nice. All right, my honest thoughts now with the Nissan Rogue Rock Creek. So the Rogue in general, I think is a pretty fine crossover. We've had a couple of these now as press vehicles to take a look at for the week. The top of the line one definitely feels pretty luxurious with its interior. This one, the Rock Creek, you know, is the more rugged one, a little bit more off-road characteristics to it. And that is a fun touch for something at this price point. I think what I like the most about it is that it does feel pretty normal to drive. It's comfortable, the seats are soft, you have good padding. So it's something you really can just rack up the miles in, and you're not really gonna get fatigued in this. And they have plenty of trim levels to get one that's pretty good. Biggest complaints, I would say, is just the CVT transmission. You know, I see the comments anytime we film any modern vehicle now with a CVT, particularly Nissan. They seem to be one of the few manufacturers to make a lot of CVTs. It just doesn't let the engine get completely utilized when you're accelerating. Now, this one, I will say, normal driving, slow speed, I really don't mind it, honestly. It's a smooth power delivery. It makes it to where it just kind of gets up to speed and you don't really have to think much of it. And that does make the car nice to drive around town, slow speeds. If I just slowly accelerate, you know, I can feel that boost. That was like 8 miles an hour increase. You know, if I slow down a little bit under 40, if I want to get up to about 50 from 37, you know, it's just smooth, and it almost does feel like a real transmission when you are driving this slowly. So I think that is a good plus. The downside is the fact that when you need to move, get into high-speed traffic, you know, if I slow down again, down to close to 20, if I need to step on it, once you hit red line, it kind of feels like in a manual transmission when the clutch is slipping, where the revs just keep going and you're not really accelerating. That's what happens. So the initial acceleration once it hits red line is fine. Once you hit the red line, it's just kind of going off the rev lever almost, and it feels like a slipping clutch and you're not moving much. So that is the drawback with the CVT that I don't like. I need a car that if I need to move, I want to be able to hit the gas and I'm gone. So this car, you just don't quite get that. So with that said, though, that's probably the biggest complaint. Other than that, though, the interior kind of torn on because a lot of people do like the simplicity of what Nissan has to offer. Some people like a simple screen that doesn't really have a million things in it. I don't mind the climate controls at all. Those look fine. Gauge cluster, same thing. Some people simply like having the analog gauge cluster and stuff like that. So I can't really fault it. However, when you do look at the competition, the vehicles that this is directly going head to head against for the exact same price point, you know, we would like to maybe see some upgrades. The interior is fine, though. I mean, you do have some soft touch materials, the contrast stitching. So it's not bad. It's just there are other competitors that have more colors, more interior options, different materials, and just a more modern feeling to where this does feel a little bit outdated. I feel like they could update the interior, give it some of the new Nissan stuff that we're already seeing in other vehicles in the brand. And I think this could certainly be right up to date with the rest of the competition. So overall, if you want something simple, this seems to kind of do that and give you some of the characteristics for off-road capabilities that you would like in a smaller, lower price point crossover. These modes, haven't really been able to test them out much. However, from seeing other videos on them and things like that, the all-wheel drive system is going to work well, and the terrain management will do a pretty good job letting you drive this on some nice paths, go off-road a little bit. You may not use this for an off-road wheeling type of vehicle, but if you want to go on a camping trip or somewhere off the beaten path, I think this is going to get you there fine. And it does have a really good space in the back, in the cargo space, to make this something that you really can use for a good gas mileage day-to-day car, but also a fun weekend car as well. That is it then for the 2025 Nissan Rogue Rock Creek. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and stay tuned for plenty more content, and I'll see you all in the next video.